Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're looking at Lincoln Wheat penny coins, made from 1909 to 1958. These old pennies have Lincoln on the front and wheat ears on the back. Some are special because of their age or small details that make them different. People collect them, and a few can be worth more than just 1 cent. Let's find out which ones are interesting and fun to look for. First up, the 1920 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in circulated condition is a coin with deep roots in American history. This piece was struck over a century ago at the Philadelphia Mint, a time when the United States was adjusting to the post-World War I era and moving into the Roaring Twenties. In 1920, more than 310 million of these pennies were minted in Philadelphia, making it one of the highest mintage years of the early Lincoln series. Despite its large production, a coin from this time still holds a special fascination, especially for collectors who appreciate coins that have passed through generations of hands. On the obverse, we see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. The details on circulated coins like this one may have softened over time, especially around Lincoln's jawline, hair, and coat, but the overall image remains strong. The date 1920 is typically still visible, and even in worn condition, the classic simplicity of the design shines through. The absence of a mint mark means it was struck in Philadelphia, the oldest operating mint in the United States and the birthplace of many iconic American coins. Flipping over to the reverse, the wheat design frames the words 1 cent and United States of America. Though years of use have likely worn down the edges of the wheat stalks and softened the lettering, the design's symbolic strength remains. The two wheat ears represent the agricultural backbone of early 20th century America. Above, the Latin phrase "E pluribus unum" still reminds us of the country's ideals of unity. Even in circulated condition, this reverse side serves as a quiet tribute to the resilience and pride of the era. It came from in terms of value. Most 1920 Lincoln Wheat pennies in circulated condition are modestly priced, typically worth anywhere from $1 to $3 depending on wear and overall appearance. However, value can climb if the coin is particularly well preserved for its age, showing stronger definition in Lincoln's features or sharper lettering on the reverse. Coins with fewer contact marks, deeper coloring, or even slight luster can attract more attention and sometimes reach up to $10 or $15 in collector markets. What truly stirs excitement among coin enthusiasts is the possibility of errors or unusual varieties. Although the 1920 penny is not widely known for dramatic mint errors, occasional examples of off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched dates do exist. Such rare varieties can raise the value significantly, even reaching into the hundreds or thousands for well-documented cases in strong condition. While such finds are rare, it's always worth taking a closer look under magnification or comparing your coin with reference images online. The historical backdrop of this coin adds to its charm. The year 1920 marked a turning point in American life. The nation had just emerged from a devastating global war, and the mood was shifting from somber recovery to booming ambition. Women had just won the right to vote with the 19th Amendment. Prohibition had begun, jazz was taking over American nightlife. And in all of this, the humble penny was there, quietly changing hands in cities, small towns, and rural farms. It was part of everyday life, part of every pocket, register, and purse. Imagine where this particular penny might have been. It could have been used to buy a newspaper reporting the results of the 1920 presidential election. It may have dropped into the hand of a child buying penny candy or rolled across the counter at a hardware store selling tools for rebuilding a post-war home. This small copper coin has lived through the rise of radio, the Great Depression, to world wars, the civil rights movement, and the digital age. And yet here it is, still with us, bearing the same quiet dignity it had when it was first struck. The true treasure of a 1920 Lincoln Wheat penny lies not just in its market value, but in its ability to connect us to our past. Each scratch and worn edge is part of its journey through American history. It is more than a coin. It is a living relic, a storyteller in copper, a survivor from a century that saw unimaginable change, whether tucked into a coin folder or resting in a collector's hand. It continues to shine with the quiet strength of a time long past, offering us a glimpse into a world where even a single cent had meaning and weight. Next up we have the 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in red shade condition is a striking and captivating piece for collectors, especially when it has maintained such a vivid and distinct tone through the decades. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not use a mint mark, this coin emerged during the latter part of the Great Depression, a time when even a single cent carried more weight than we can imagine today. It passed through the hands of people struggling to get by, people who valued every coin, yet here it is almost 90 years later, preserved in a condition that still captures the eye. The red shade of this penny is where the real intrigue begins. Red in numismatics refers to the original color of the copper when the coin was first minted. It's rare for a coin this old to retain such a hue unless it has been carefully stored, away from moisture and oxidation. When you find a 1935 wheat penny with this reddish tone, even in a good or lightly circulated condition, it jumps out. The color alone raises both its visual appeal and its collector value. It indicates that the surfaces have not completely turned brown, a typical fate for older copper coins, and that perhaps this coin was tucked away early in its life or simply never passed through to many hands. Looking at the obverse, we see Abraham Lincoln's profile, sculpted by Victor David Brenner. On a red-shaded 1935 penny, the fine details of Lincoln's hair, cheekbone, and coat are likely more visible than on typical circulated examples. The inscriptions remain bold. The date, clearly stamped 1935, sits just below the bust and to the right, unmistakably placing this coin within a period of intense American hardship and resilience. The reverse features the wheat ears flanking the denomination, with United States of America and E pluribus unum still clearly readable even if there's some light smoothing from circulation. In terms of mintage, the 1935 Philadelphia issue had over 245 million coins struck, so it is not the rarity of the mintage itself that brings this coin to the spotlight, but rather the preservation of its color and condition. Most circulated examples are worth a few cents to maybe $1 or $2. However, when the coin retains much of its red luster and shows fewer signs of wear, it becomes a different story entirely. Values for lightly circulated or red examples can climb into the $20 to $50 range, but here's where it gets exciting. Uncirculated, red gem examples, especially those graded at high mints state levels like MS65 or MS66, have sold at auctions for hundreds, sometimes well over $1,000. In one exceptional case, a pristine MS67 red 1935 Lincoln cent reached nearly $2,000 due to its brilliant color, flawless surfaces, and near-perfect strike. Though this specific coin is not uncirculated, its red tone makes it stand out. The market places a premium on any copper coin that retains this kind of vibrancy because it's rare and eye-catching. And while it might not reach the 5- or 6-figure mark without being in top mint state condition or having a major error, it still carries tremendous appeal and value for collectors looking for something with historical richness and unusual aesthetic quality. It's always worth taking a second look at these older wheat pennies for more than just color. While 1935 is not particularly known for dramatic errors, coins from this era sometimes feature small repunched mint marks, doubled dies, or minor die cracks that increase their desirability. A double die obverse showing light duplication in Lincoln's eye or lettering, or even a subtle die clash, could add significantly to the value. Collectors are often amazed at what's discovered under magnification. What's more powerful than the price tag, though, is the history this coin represents. Minted during Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal era, this penny may have been used to buy bread, candy, or a newspaper headline about massive public works programs or growing tensions overseas. The 1930s were a decade of hardship and transformation, and this little coin has made the journey all the way to today, retaining part of its original beauty and color. To hold a 1935 Lincoln Wheat penny in red shade is to hold a moment in time preserved almost miraculously. It's a tangible piece of the past that has outlasted wars, recessions, and revolutions in technology. It speaks to the durability of American craftsmanship and the lasting legacy of even the smallest items in our history. This penny, with its glowing copper tone, is not just a coin. It's a symbol of survival, of preservation, and of the fascinating stories hiding in plain sight inside a forgotten jar or drawer. Next up we have the 1955 Lincoln Wheat penny without a mint mark in good condition is one of those classic American coins that continues to captivate collectors and history enthusiasts alike. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin carries no mint mark, which was standard for Philadelphia issues at the time. But even without that small detail, this penny holds enormous weight in terms of historical context and collector appeal. The 1950s marked a period of post-war prosperity and cultural change in the United States, and this penny circulated during a time when Americans were experiencing both technological innovation and Cold War tension. Every time this coin changed hands, it was part of someone's everyday life in a rapidly modernizing country. The obverse of the 1955 Lincoln penny features the enduring bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. Even in good condition, the portrait remains recognizable, with Lincoln's solemn expression, his hairline, and the iconic inscription of "In God We Trust" arching above his head. The date 1955 sits clearly to the right, with Liberty on the left, forming the instantly familiar layout that defined the wheat penny for decades. On the reverse, the coin shows the classic wheat ears framing the denomination 1 cent, with the phrases United States of America and E pluribus unum standing out despite circulation wear. Now, when we talk about the 1955 Lincoln penny, it's impossible not to mention the famous 1955 double die error, which has become one of the most sought-after and legendary coin errors in all of numismatics. In that famous variety, the doubling on the obverse lettering is so strong that it appears almost like a blurry shadow, most notably in Liberty, "In God We Trust," and the date. That error can turn a simple penny into a jaw-dropping six-figure prize. Some of those rare error coins in mint state have sold for over $100,000, and even heavily circulated examples can fetch several $1,000s depending on eye appeal. But here's the twist. Just because your 1955 penny doesn't show that extreme doubling doesn't mean it's worthless. Many collectors are still hunting for clean, well-preserved examples of the standard 1955 issue. In good condition, like the one in question, the coin may carry a modest value of 5 to 10 cents, slightly above face value. But when found in higher grades or with exceptional eye appeal, such as a strong red tone or sharp details, its worth can jump. In mint state red condition, these coins can command values from $30 to several hundred, and if certified by top grading services, prices can soar even higher, especially when there's high demand from collectors looking to complete their wheat penny sets. Even the regular 1955 coin carries interest because of the notoriety of the doubled die. Many collectors new to the hobby will come across a 1955 penny and immediately wonder if it's the famous one, prompting them to inspect it more closely and often start their journey into coin collecting. This added layer of intrigue keeps the 1955 issue in constant focus, even when it's not an error variety. Condition is always important. This coin being in good condition suggests that it has circulated for some time, showing moderate wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat, with some smoothing of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Yet despite the wear, it still tells its story proudly. The design is intact, the inscriptions are legible, and it still holds its coppery essence, especially if there's any hint of original red remaining on the surface. Holding this coin is like holding a relic of American culture during a decade that shaped the nation's identity. It's more than a piece of metal, It's a witness to the rise of television, the building of the interstate highway system, and the dawn of the space race. The 1955 penny was spent on gas when it cost 20 cents a gallon, or used in a vending machine that gave you a Coke in a glass bottle. These small coins were everywhere, but very few have survived in collectible condition with as much personality as this one. So whether it's the excitement of possibly spotting a double die or simply appreciating the beauty of a well-preserved mid-century Lincoln penny, the 1955 wheat penny remains a fan favorite and an absolute must for any collector building a complete historical set. Even in good condition, it holds value beyond money. It represents time, history, and a connection to an America that was bold, hopeful, and on the move. Next up we have the 1911 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark is a powerful piece of early American coinage and one that carries a quiet but deeply fascinating story. Struck over a century ago at the Philadelphia Mint, this coin came into the world during a time of tremendous change in America. It predates to world wars, the Great Depression, the moon landing, and even the invention of television. This little copper coin may be small in size, but it is a direct link to a time when Theodore Roosevelt's vision of a stronger national identity was still shaping the country. Its worn surfaces and tiny dots are a testament to the many hands it has passed through and the many stories it has silently witnessed. On the obverse, you can still see the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. This coin was only the third year of issue in the Lincoln Cent series, which had debuted in 1909 to mark Lincoln's 100th birthday. Even in circulated condition, Lincoln's image is visible, though likely smoothed around the cheek and jawline. "In God We Trust" arcs above his head, liberty rests on the left side, and the date 1911 appears clearly on the right. Because there's no mint mark, we know this one came from Philadelphia, the oldest U.S. mint and the one responsible for the majority of coinage in those early decades. Flipping to the reverse, the coin shows the classic wheat ears that frame the denomination 1 cent. Though worn, the words United States of America and E pluribus unum are still visible, anchoring it to its heritage. The wheat stalks may be faded or flattened, and the field may have some surface spots or tiny imperfections, but every mark only adds to its character. Those little dots and signs of aging do not take away its story, they enrich it. When it comes to value, a 1911 Lincoln wheat penny in circulated condition typically ranges from $1 to $5, depending on the level of wear and how visible the features remain. Collectors love the early dates in this series, and 1911 is no exception. While it doesn't have the rarity of a 1909 SVDB or the shock value of a double die error, it is still over 100 years old and growing scarcer with every passing year. Coins like this are often forgotten in drawers, lost in fields, or tossed into jars and never seen again. Finding one still intact, with clear detail and historic charm, is always a pleasure for anyone who appreciates American history. Now, if this same coin were in uncirculated or mint state condition, the story would change dramatically. A 1911 Lincoln penny with full red luster and no wear can easily fetch several $100s, with top-graded examples soaring into the thousands. Collectors pay a premium for those early-date wheat pennies with sharp details and original surfaces, especially since so few have survived untouched by circulation. But even in its circulated state, your coin is part of a remarkable legacy. These were made of solid bronze, mostly copper with a bit of tin and zinc, giving them a warm, natural tone that ages beautifully over time. It's worth noting that many collectors today seek out coins that have character. The small dots you mentioned on the coin might be from oxidation or environmental exposure, and while they may lower the strict grading, they also mark it as genuine and well-traveled. Some even prefer coins like this because they represent the working class and everyday life more than the pristine, untouched examples hidden in vaults. Imagine the life this coin has lived. In 1911, it might have bought a newspaper, a stick of gum, or been dropped into a collection plate on a Sunday morning. It might have traveled across states in the pocket of a railroad worker or been saved in a child's piggy bank during the early 1900s. It circulated when horses still shared the streets with early automobiles and when telephones were a luxury, not a necessity. Every scratch and dent on the coin is like a fingerprint from another time, a silent reminder of how far we've come. For collectors who value history as much as condition, this 1911 Lincoln Wheat penny is a treasured artifact. It's more than just currency, it is a witness to America's growth, preserved in copper and still whispering its story more than a century later. Next up we have the 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny is a quietly remarkable piece of American coinage that holds far more significance than its copper shell suggests. Minted in the immediate aftermath of World War II, this coin emerged during a time of transition, optimism, and rebuilding. It was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which means it carries no mint mark beneath the date, and its presence today, in circulated condition, offers a direct link to one of the most pivotal eras in U.S. history. This coin features the enduring image of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, which had become instantly recognizable across the country since the series began. In 1909, Lincoln's bust, facing right, is worn but still visible, his thoughtful expression softened by years of use. Above his head, the motto "In God We Trust" remains legible, while the word liberty sits on the left side and the date 1946 appears clearly on the right. Though this coin has circulated for decades, it still retains its identity and historical importance. The reverse carries the famous wheat ears that give this series its nickname, the Wheat penny. Though the design details have been worn down by circulation, you can still make out the outline of the two sheaves of wheat, the denomination 1 cent in bold, and the inscription United States of America, e pluribus unum arches above, representing the unity of the states. Just as America was reuniting and healing from the war, millions of these pennies were struck in 1946 as the U.S. economy began to stabilize and boom after the war years. Despite the high mintage, these coins are cherished today not just for their age, but for their symbolism. This was a coin passed through the hands of Americans coming home from the battlefield, starting new families, building homes, and dreaming of a better future. To hold a 1946 wheat penny is to hold a piece of that post-war spirit. In terms of value, a 1946 penny in circulated condition is generally modest, usually ranging from a few cents to a couple of dollars. Its value rises slightly if it has strong details, minimal discoloration, and no serious damage. But the real surprise lies in coins that were preserved exceptionally well. If a 1946 Lincoln Wheat penny is found in mint state condition with full red luster, its value can jump to $50 or more. In higher grades, particularly those certified by professional grading services, the value can rise even higher, especially if the coin shows clean surfaces and sharp strikes. Though your coin is circulated, its story remains powerful. It may have been part of a child's allowance, used to buy a soda, or dropped into a vending machine during the golden age of American diners. It could have traveled in a soldier's pocket, been flipped during a decision, or tossed into a savings jar in a quiet Midwestern kitchen. Every scratch, smooth patch, or discoloration reflects its long journey through American lives and decades of change. Collectors often treasure these coins not just for their potential value, but for their connection to history. Many see them as humble yet noble artifacts from a time when America was redefining itself. It's easy to overlook these small copper pieces, but each one has a place in the larger story of the United States. They remind us of where we've been, what we've survived, and how far we've come. Even though your 1946 penny has been well used, that doesn't lessen its significance. In fact, for many collectors and history lovers, it adds to its authenticity. It is a real coin that lived a real life, and for those who look beyond pristine condition and focus on meaning, this penny is a true relic of an era when America was filled with hope, rebuilding its dreams one brick and one coin at a time.